is the driving force of every autoimmune disorder that's out there, and that's the driving force of uh, uh, every type of burden that our body is carrying day in and day out. So, I'm at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we're giving people tools and alternatives to drugs and surgery. And I believe that all life starts and stops at the cellular level. And the stronger your nutritional base, the stronger you are at dealing with the challenges of life. And so I will absolutely say that all you have to do is just stay to the course, keep working on getting your mineral base intact, working on getting your immune system strong by doing what we call sequential immune upregulation programs. And if you are having symptoms, man, let us know. We've got some ideas and tools that will help give your body symptom relief and help your body, cut the suffering time down, so to speak, so that you're not, dealing with a lot of the aftermath that you read about. But remember, an infection is an infection is an infection. And so, on that note, just take a healthy body matters. This is where strong immune systems and a strong, good diet and a good water habit is all good things. So anyway, I'm excited to be on the radio today. We're talking about allergies. We're talking about the pesticides in the air, and we're talking about food allergies, different things that people are dealing with that's sabotaging their immune system and sabotaging their vibrance and sabotaging their vitality. And we want to give people, a better direction to go. Where do we go whenever you have symptoms? You've been dealing with symptoms day in and day out, and every time the weather changes, you have a negative symptom. I mean, think about the people that are out there that are dealing with symptoms needlessly, or symptom patterns that they were not genetically born with. And a lot of times it comes down to burdens that our body is carrying, and a lot of these can be food allergies. And so we're going to take a little bit of time this morning and talk about the different types of allergens that people are exposed to that inflame their body and cause their body to suffer more and more and more. So if you have questions, you can just email those over, or text those threads in, and we'll answer those. And we're just glad that people are tuning in. So thanks for sharing, liking, and commenting on our video. So when we talk about food allergies, we're looking at the most common food allergies that people deal with day in and day out are wheat, dairy, corn, and soy. And so why are these food allergies such a problem? Well, I think they're actually not really allergies as much as they are toxins that we are ingesting. And I think that a lot of people think they're food. Because good marketing says these things are good for our bodies, that they're on the bottom of the recommended food pyramids, or the diet recommendations that we're supposed to have 7 to 11 servings of grain every day for adequate fiber. And I'm all for that, except that when you eat food that is make-believe, the best you'll ever have is make-believe health. And so I'm always trying to see how people evaluate on their food logs what they're eating, letting them see the amount of sugar they're getting into, the amount of inflammation that they're getting into. Because if you're having a symptom pattern that you're not genetically born with, if you're having itchy, watery eyes, if you've got hives, if you've got rashes, if you've got, drippy down the back of the throat, whatever your ailment is that's on this allergy vein, it might be something environmental. I had a patient coming in every time the weather changed, every time a storm would blow in. He was about 3 years old. He would get a cold. He'd get a sinus infection and an upper respiratory tract infection. And so I found that, working with him over the last 4 months, it's resolved itself for the most part. Now, instead of him getting a violent infection with lots of mucus and lots of drainage and lots of ear trouble and pulling at the ears, now we beat a weather change. Well, here we are going through another weather change, and it's amazing that if you give the body enough time and you decrease the burdens, you follow through the recommendations, you eliminate some of these things that are poisons to the body, all of a sudden things begin to change. And so for this little guy, we were just getting into too many of the little easy go snacks. the applesauce snacks and things like that.
Those are good.
And so, but they are sugar.
Yeah, they're not good for you, but they taste good.
And when the second or third ingredient is sugar, even if it's organic cane sugar, it's still a problem, and it will weaken the immune alliance, and it'll make you more susceptible to allergens. And so we have to look at what is the body dealing with that causes it to be susceptible to the environment and to be susceptible to fragrances or sensitive to pesticides. I have patients that have to call into work whenever they fumigate their offices because they get migraines. I have people that whenever the pest man comes to their house, they come in and they will have anxiety issues, they'll have blood pressure issues, and we have millions of tons of stuff sprayed in the air. We have just chemical plants alone. Being down here in the southeast, we have Bayport, Texas City, we got LaPorte and Pasadena, Deer Park. We're like in this melting pot of fumes constantly being put up in the air. So our bodies are constantly dealing with more environmental allergens than people that live in the trees or live by the water or and aren't like exposed to a lot of this stuff. And when you get into what I would call like these allergens that people experience, it's like you cross over a threshold. If I can keep you below the threshold, you'll never have a symptom. You won't get itchy, watery eyes. You won't have the hives and the rashes and the drippy down the back of the throat, the ears that are constantly giving you trouble, and the head pressure, and you're like, whoo, what's that all about? And that comes from burdens that we're putting in our body. So if you put in enough burdens just in your daily living exercises, then all of a sudden you're more susceptible to environmental chemicals, pollutants, and the more toxic your liver is, or the more backed up your liver is, the more sluggish your bowels are, the allergens begin to percolate out of another orifice. You should be pooping these out or peeing these things out, but if you can't get them out of the tissues, then all of a sudden they back up into the high sinus, the high lymph system. They go out your ears, eyes, nose, and throat, and you start feeling these pains. All right, so how do you start getting off of dairy products? All right, well, number one, first recognize that it's a make-believe food. It's loaded with, it's pasteurized, it's homogenized, it's hormone-laden, it's got antibiotics in it. It is not the same chemical makeup of milk coming out of Elsie the cow. And so we have to recognize that, okay, what is the process of homogenation pasteurization? Well, it's basically a bacterial treatment. It is to boil it and mutate. It winds up mutating the proteins, and so the proteins that we're bringing into the body begin to inflame the digestive tract. And when the digestive tract gets inflamed, over time, it allows that other things that we're bringing in, pollens and environmental stuff, to cross over the gut barrier into the blood, which creates an immune response, and that immune response has to be dealt with by your immune system. And depending on how effective your body is at dealing with these environmental toxins, you'll either process it right back out through the liver and then you'll pee it out or poop it out, or it'll get stuck in the lymph system and your body will have to find another way to get these toxins out of the system. And these are toxins because anything your body can't use by definition is a toxin. Mm-hmm. And so when we look, I think even we can overuse these antiseptic, killing agents. And when we do that when we constantly sterilize our air, there's no saying when we would drink water, if you either filter your water or you become the filter. Well, the same with these sprays and aerosols that we're using. They come in through our nose and our lungs have to filter out what is valuable, the oxygen, but it also has to deal with the toxin, the chemicals that are in that stuff. And so although they can be beneficial in killing off bugs, they can also be poisons for our body. So there's a price to pay. So how do we gauge, how much of these things to use? So I find that I'd rather, use them in situations, bathrooms, for example, like where people are a little bit more messy with their bodily fluids, right? I think it's, or like if you've got kids, I mean, kids' bathrooms, you got to disinfect these areas. But do we need the amount of chemicals that we're using, or is there natural solutions? Like you could use apple cider vinegar, alcohol-based, things that aren't as contaminant. You got thieves oil, you got melaleuca or tea tree type solutions, and these are valuable tools, especially whenever if you have a concern about spreading germs or anything like that. You've got melaleuca is a very powerful antimicrobial. You can rub it on your hands and go to town, or you can use thieves or clove. You can take in garlic, and these are good things. Just as an aside, I don't know why I keep jumping back over there, but at the end of the day, your diet's going to play a big part in dealing with allergies. So when people come into our office, we give people a food log, and we want them to fill these things out, because people don't realize how much you can get through assessing the diet.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you eat matters, and food is medicine. And so if you eat food that isn't giving your body energy and vitality, then all of a sudden your foundation's weak. And you do that 7 days, you do that 30 days, you do that 365 days throughout the year, all of a sudden you're not on your A game anymore, and your body is really starting to deteriorate. And just because you don't eat well today and you're not sick today doesn't mean it didn't have some kind of negative impact on you overall. Can your body rebound and recover from that? Of course it can. And that's the beautiful thing about our bodies. We've just got to give it the right environment and the right time frames and the right resources to adapt back into a healthy state. And I think oftentimes we think health is a indicator of no symptoms ever. But one of the things that I've been noticing is how many times should you go in and brush your teeth?
Probably after you eat.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say.
But how many people how often do you think people brush their teeth?
2 times a day.
All right. How many times do you think they floss their teeth?
I floss my teeth once a day.
All right. So at least once, right?
Yeah.
But it's probably fair to say that
you should maybe after you eat.
maybe people don't at all.
Right.
Right? But we've trained people that taking care of your teeth is an important thing. How often should you get a cleaning?
You're supposed to go 2 times a year.
Yeah. Okay. How often should you rotate the tires on your car?
Every so many thousand miles. I should probably do that today.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it,
it's probably
right?
a good time. You go ahead and rotate those tires too if you're thinking like that.
Yeah.
And so we know that there's some level of maintenance that has to be done in order to take care of our possessions and to take care of our teeth. But why hasn't anybody taught us that we need to take care of the body? If you're exposed to environmental pollutants on the regular, like if you work in a chemical plant,
mm-hmm.
or if you live around a chemical plant. I mean, I remember growing up, we could smell it was football weather.
Where'd you grow up?
In Deer Park.
Deer Park, yeah.
And we could smell the football weather chemicals in the air, because they would cook the same stuff every year at the same time.
The good stuff, yeah.
And who knows what kind of benzenes and petroleum-based crazies that we were breathing in, and but I mean, and it's weird. I mean, and some people, they smell pizza and they go, oh, it brings back so many good memories.
Little League.
I can can smell the air and go, oh yeah, I was at the football game
mm-hmm. Friday
night. I was but the environment can be a burden that our bodies are dealing with, but it shouldn't. The weather shouldn't affect you. Like, you shouldn't get sick when the seasons change. Your body should adapt and deal with it. Does that mean that I don't have any symptoms? It doesn't, but it doesn't mean that I should have symptoms either. Like, it's common, but not normal. And a lot of times when you have sneezing fits, or you have a lot of drainage down the back of the throat, or your body is dealing with some sort of allergen, and that is your body's response to something it doesn't want. It's trying to expel a toxin from your face. You're going to hack it up, cough it up, blow it out your nose, and that's good. And I think that ultimately we can come in and support organ systems in the body and support the diet and get people to recognize, where they're putting in the wrong food. And then, so what does life look like off of dairy? I mean, I took this fella off of cheese yesterday. I mean, you'd think I'd have taken away his favorite possession. Like it was a borderline, begged, bartered, and pleaded. No, easy.
Not the dairy.
Not the dairy.
Yeah.
And people, know that I'm pretty anti-dairy, but I mean, I don't really think I'm anti things that aren't real. There's like if you feed dairy products to baby cows, they will die. I mean, it's not satisfactory for even the very beast that it was designed for.
Mm-hmm.
Once we've pasteurized it, homogenized it, mutated the proteins, boiled off any value in the fats, and added back the hormones and the chemicals that we have to make it preservable on the shelf for the length of time that it is. And then the same thing is beginning to happen with gluten. I know still people believe that, gluten is a fad, and there's no way that dairy could possibly be bad for us. I mean, after all, they sell it at the grocery store, And but when you hybridize, what basically means you chemically alter the wheat plant to have a fake synthesized protein in it, gluten, and then you genetically modify the wheat plant, we're not eating real food. And when you don't eat real food, you can't expect real health. Does that make sense?
Yes. Hey, there's a question about dairy and milk specifically. This is from Connie, and she asked about, I think it's almond milk. Is almond milk okay to drink? Because we were talking about, dairy, it's usually not the best for you, but what about almond milk?
So the nut milks are great, and it's always better to make your own nut milk. You can get way more nutritional value out of it. It's not overly difficult to make, and once you kind of get a pattern and a routine for it, I mean, you could Pinterest how to make a good quality nut milk, whether it's almond, whether it's cashew. These are good alternatives. The almond milk has higher concentration of calcium than your dairy milk, and of course, it's not going to have the fat content if you do like a whole milk.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we don't need to be looking for dairy to provide our basis for why we're not gonna have strong bones. The reason you don't have strong bones and or good health is because you're not eating enough green leafy vegetables to get adequate fiber, adequate vegetable minerals from those nutrients. And that's where a lot of people go towards, this dairy conversation. Well, what about the bones? Well, that's just good marketing. Strong bones, strong milk does a body good or whatever. Those ads are gone. The reason those ads are gone is because you can't false advertise, and that's almond milk is a more calcium-rich nutrient. And I know there's some people they say the carrageenan in these store-bought almond milks are something we have to be mindful of, and it is, But at the end of the day, it's far better than pasteurized, homogenized, milk.
So the store-bought ones would be a better option
Yeah.
if you have to pick the two.
But make sure that if you do an almond milk, it needs to be unsweet, because there's 8 grams of sugar in these sweetened versions, and so that sugar then, is just like it puts it in the same category as the homogenation, pasteurization, and or genetic engineering of the food. We've got to take in and look at these ingredients and make sure that what we're putting in our body isn't artificial sugars, real sugar. We need to be avoiding that. I mean, I picked up a spice off the shelf the other day, and the second ingredient, and it was an organic spice, and the second ingredient was organic cane sugar. And I go, wow, I just paid $11 for an organic sugar, with some extra paprika or, whatever in it. And
But it says organic, so
it's got to be good, right?
it makes you feel better, right?
And so that's why we have to be mindful. Don't just read the label name, read the ingredients. What's in it? Because if you buy an almond milk that's got 8 grams of sugar, I'm telling you, that isn't going to serve you any better. If you get into a cookie and a Coke, you can paralyze your immune system for up to 8 hours. And so this is where people really start, having a challenge when they don't understand why they're getting reoccurring infections, or why that little boy was having so many head and chest congestion, coughs, and drainage down the back of his throat and out his nose, is because he was getting into even too much sugar in the form of fruit. And you know what I mean? So like we think vegetables and fruit. How much vegetables and fruit do you eat? Oh, I eat 6 servings a day. But what do you eat? Oh, 5 of those are
corn,
fruit, or
yeah.
It's corn and it's not a vegetable at
Right.
all. It's a starch, a grain. And so grain products like your wheat, that is when they hybridize and genetically engineer this again, this is not real food. And so now we've got twofold of an issue. Yes, it has fiber in it, but it can slow down bowel motility up to 37% because it's a foreign beast in your system. And so your body's like, what is this stuff that I am consuming? And so now the bowels get slow, the liver gets slow and sluggish, it backs up into your lymphatics, it comes out your sinus, head, eyes, nose, throat. And all of a sudden, you're struggling with environmental things because now the weather's changing, and you're like, I can't win for losing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's when you need to intervene. That's when you can come in and we can do gut restoration protocols. We can and strengthen your digestive tract. If you've inflamed it to a point where it needs to be healed, we've got to clean it up and we've got to heal it. We can do that at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. We give people alternatives to drugs and surgery. We give people a boost in their cellular structure to make it perform better just by feeding people. It's amazing the amount of things that we see happen on a daily basis in our office because of good nutrition.
Here's a question. This one is from Connie. She said, I'm a label reader due to some allergies due to dairy, and she wants to know, what is the best way to get your calcium? Is it through veggies, and if so, which are the best?
Yep. So green leafy vegetables are absolutely your best. And then I also would say that extra minerals. So like I have yet to have somebody come in that was even a vegetarian, like a good vegetarian too, like not just a carbitarian, but I mean somebody that supposedly eats real, vegetables that didn't need extra minerals. And I think a lot of the reason that, like, I remember in the olden days when we would read philosophy books on chiropractic and whatnot, the B.J. Palmer, the medical community would send a lot of their patients to him and say, we don't know what to do for you, but there's this crazy guy down the road that you can go see.
Yeah.
And he seems to be getting people better right and left. And they'd go down to BJ's office and BJ would do what he did. And it was just primarily chiropractic work, structural neurological corrections. And all of a sudden he was getting results that nobody else was getting. And today, chiropractic still sees miraculous, amazing things. But I think the toxic burden that we are carrying today compared to the 1950s is so much greater that our bodies aren't seeing those miraculous changes with just a structural alignment. And so we have to get in there and remineralize you, if you will. So we come in with things like calcium lactate and magnesium lactate. They are one chemical reaction away from being usable in the body, so they're very bioavailable. When you buy a calcium product, and if it says calcium carbonate, for example, the carbonate is 11 chemical reactions away from usability. It's a cheap sidewalk chalk. It's a cheap rock, like trying to chew the calcium out of rocks. Well, we don't eat rocks. You know what I mean? We need things that we can tear apart with our teeth, and then we can extract out the nutrients. And so green leafy vegetables are absolutely going to provide you more of the bang for your buck. Spinach, great one. Kale, your green leafy lettuce leaves, romaine lettuce, the Swiss chard, those really deep red veined plants. They don't always taste the best initially because we just don't know how to cook them, but they cook up well if you cut them up fine enough. It's how you introduce them into a salad. They give it some deeper color, and then you kind of like, wow, that's not not bad, and you mix and match some of your other lettuces together, and it comes down to rabbit food. I mean, it's where your calcium is, and then also you can get a lot of fiber from these areas, and fiber is great in making sure that we can extract out chemicals and pesticides and metals and pollutants that our body's exposed to. It acts as a binder. It acts as a street sweeper in order to kind of keep the intestinal lining open and clear. And you should be reaching to veggies as your fiber source over grains, because the grains are so denatured. I mean, Europe doesn't have the amount of hybridization of gluten that we have. And I have patients that come back from European trips, and they can eat the bread over there and not have any problem. They can eat the dairy over there and have less problems. Mm-hmm. And I have thoughts around that. I mean, I've looked this up, that dairy products, the FDA allows 750 million pus cells to be found in a gallon of milk. That's like legal to sell, right? And so that's infection, by the way. I mean, that's not good. Europe allows 350 million pus cells. Okay, so that's interesting. So there's a level of infection we're allowing our bodies to be exposed to just by consuming these things. And I've got patients that will come home thinking, oh, I'm healed. I had the bread over there, I was fine. And I come mm-hmm. home and I eat the bread or I drink the milk, and all of a sudden inflammation insists. It comes on like a vengeance, and it comes on worse than ever, and it drops them like a bad habit. And so we have to help people recognize that, again, the food quality that we are consuming is low in minerals. Most people aren't eating enough minerally rich food anyway. And so where do we start? We start with at the basics. We start at breakfast. Protein and fats for breakfast. Start your day with fuel logs on a fire. And those fuel logs on a fire are going to be your proteins and fats. Eggs, sausage, bacon, good place to start.
Those all sound good to me, by the way. I love all those.
Yeah, and then if you're me, yesterday morning, I had avocado oil, tomatoes, and chicken. That was my breakfast. And I sauteed that in a little skillet, warmed mm-hmm. it up, cut my chicken up in little pieces because I had it already cooked from the previous day. And, man, I was like, I could eat this every day, and maybe it's maybe you're in a real pinch, in a real hurry, but you had read the labels and you bought turkey, from the deli that wasn't laden with 17 other high fructose corn syrup ingredients or partially hydrogenated oil ingredients or MSG or anything like that, and you're like, wow, I can do a meat roll up. I mean, deli meat might not be the best, but it will be better than you eating bread, rice, cereal, pasta, potatoes, or bread, rice, cereal, and some sort of fake milk to go on top of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So if we start our day right, we will most assuredly end it more right. And it doesn't mean that we do that perfectly every day, but I just find that when I get people to start their day right, they snack right, they don't have the ebbs and flows in blood sugar where they're reaching for excess sugar to get through their day. They don't have the afternoon crash. They don't have that dip where they're craving foods that are what I would call artificial rocket fuel.
Here's a comment. This is from Tammy, and this is something that I've seen you do before, Dr. Chapa, but she said, dinner is my favorite breakfast. Sometimes we're used to it has to be cereal, it has to be the pastry. Oh, it's a breakfast food. But you can also start your day with the salad. Maybe something left over that you had healthy for dinner, just eat it in the morning. Why not?
Yeah, I go to a little restaurant in my area called Skipper's, and he's an authentic Greek restaurant, and I walk in and they know exactly what I want. I want a small Greek salad, no feta, no pita, and with gyro meat or with grilled chicken, and most time it's with the gyro because it's different, it tastes good, and I get the salad dressing on the side, so I just dip a little in there, because it's not perfect, but I mean, it's not laden with MSG, you know what I mean? It's good enough. And working, in this area long enough, and you go in some of these restaurants, I go to the same places a lot because I know I feel great after I eat. So I'll eat a salad the size of my head for breakfast. I'll eat a little bit of protein with it. Like I said yesterday, I had chicken and tomatoes, and people go, you can have dinner for breakfast? Yeah.
You can have breakfast for dinner too.
You can have breakfast for dinner too.
Mix it up.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, really throw yourself off. I mean, confuse your body. No, and that's right. You could have bacon and eggs for dinner. Like if you're in a hurry or you just don't feel like doing something extravagant, man, throw some. I mean, my son wanted some poached eggs the other day. So me, him, and Lexi, we put a tablespoon of water in a muffin tin. Dropped an egg in there, 350, 5 minutes, poached egg. It was easy. I remember watching people boil water and then dropping the egg down in there and poaching it, and it's like floating around. You can't get it all to hold together, and it was always a mess, and it never worked out for me, so I never poached eggs. But I had saw something on Pinterest, and I was like, that looks easy, and I gave it a shot, and guess what? It worked great.
Yeah.
And my kids love it. Lexi doesn't like boiled eggs. Hates them, as a matter of fact. She doesn't even like scrambled eggs. But you give her a runny, sunny side up egg, she'll eat it all day long. So change up the methodology. Sometimes, like one of my daughters wanted cinnamon eggs this morning, so we made her an egg and we sprinkled some cinnamon over the top of it. And now you go, that sounds gross. Except that you eat it when you do French toast. You know what I mean? The only difference is that there's a piece of bread. In our case, we wanted to start the day right, so we just gave the protein and the fat. And we put the log on the fire. Cinnamon helps balance your blood sugar, and cinnamon makes it feel and smell like French toast. And bada bing, they're eating a good, healthy start to breakfast. And so when we start working with patients, we're trying to help them see new methodology in living in the 21st century. And you can totally start your day right, and I literally have built a whole practice on just helping people start their day right and getting them to fuel their body right, and then getting them to start reducing their intake of inflammatory food. I had a patient yesterday come in, and he was celebrating because he did the detox, but we allowed him to stay on the protein because he just could not fathom the idea of not having protein for 21 days.
It's hard.
And yeah, it is, and it can be. And that's one thing that deters people. And what I want to say to that is, don't let any preconceived notion of what you think a detox is, should be, and why it won't work for you, steer you away from having the conversation. Because what I've found is that if I can just get your liver to start cleansing, if I can get the metabolism start ramping up, you will feel the shift and the change in your body, and you will absolutely positively start seeing results that you couldn't see before. And so when we start looking at things like symptoms of itchy, watery eyes, or sneezing attacks, or sneezing in the middle of the night, or sneezing when you walk outside, or you find you're always dealing with an environmental issue, when you see all that pollen showing up on your cars, and we're there. I mean, this is the season.
It's time. Yeah.
And when we see that, we are going to have a solution to help clean you up. Do you think I clean up the sinuses? No, I clean up the liver, and I clean up the lymph. I clean up the digestive tract, and I clean up the diet. And by doing that downstream work, the sinuses aren't used as an exit channel, and you don't develop allergies into infections. That's cool. And then people aren't on antibiotics. The people are not on these anti-allergy histamines, and we're allowing the body to function like it was designed to. And it should clear off the waste downstream, giving your body a chance to feel alive and vibrant, not sick and congested. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. So there was a comment earlier, and we were talking about the detox, and someone said how you would help their allergies by clearing up their liver, which I thought was pretty interesting. And it's interesting the way the body works and how that stuff kind of goes around. But whenever we were talking about almond milk, it reminded me of the detox, because what I would do is take that unsweetened almond milk and mix it with some of the supplements that we had, like some of the powder and the protein and all that other stuff. And it made it a little bit different than just using water, because I've done it and used water before. But the almond milk gave it a different consistency, and it also, maybe it was in my head, but helped keep me like full, you know?
And I think that finding shakes is a hard thing to do, because a lot of times today, the buzzwords have been figured out. They know to put gluten-free on a shake label. They know to put dairy-free, corn-free, they know what to take out of it, so people will start buying it. But here's what I've now found is that still the quality of the proteins that they're using, the ingredients that they're using, they could use the echinacea in the product. They could use, but it's the wrong part of the plant that they're advertising it for, because there's no mandate that it has to be the right part of the plant. They can just get one piece of it that doesn't have the therapeutic value, because it's obviously more expensive to harvest some of these things correctly and to get the root system and to make sure that you get the added value, or the protein source that they're using is a poor quality, rice protein, pea protein of sorts, and that can still hurt you, right? You can, and so we have to make sure that we vet out and know where we're getting these shakes, and are they of quality. So I have a lot of people bring me plant-based, vegan proteins from different stores, and I have to look at it and go, well, yeah, I can see how this is confusing. I'll make a phone call to the company and get a certificate of analysis to find out the ingredients are just absolutely terrible that they're putting in it. And name brand companies, like people that really trust products. And I'm shocked. And so, like, everything that I use at my office, I have vetted out and made sure that, like, if there's an issue, oftentimes they call me first.
Yeah, there was somebody the other day I was talking to, and they actually had a phone call, and they said, that was my nutritionist or whatever. I was like, oh, that's cool. I happen to be a nutritionist. Not really. I'm not a nutritionist myself, but I talk to one every week, and, I didn't even say any of that. I was like, I have a friend, and, he does some really cool stuff and uses some standard processed products, and I was kind of just throwing some stuff out there to see just throwing her the bait to see if she was going to pick up and see how much she knew.
How did it go?
So she was like, well, I don't really like standard process because of A, B, and C. And the stuff she was telling me, I was like, I know for a fact that's not, but I wasn't going to argue because, but I was just like, I think I know, I feel like I know the product and the person who vets the product, and they know a little bit more about this. And so I was just like, oh, okay, it works for me. That's cool.
And it's interesting, right? Like how, again, there's always more than one way to skin a cat, right? But you still need to be mindful. Be mindful that, what you're bringing in might very well look good on the label, but it could potentially be, something that's creating a level of toxicity in your body that you weren't intending.
Yeah.
And so I just have to, put that out there, because I've found that 97.5% of the products bought on the market today are either not safe or not effective. And we have to make sure that in our office, everything that we do is results driven. Like if a person comes in and they're not seeing any level of change with no level of explanation for that change, they're not sticking around. And we're a results driven society. People want answers, and they want to see the answers lead to a better result that they had. And so I'm always out. I was at a seminar this weekend just talking about perimenopause and what females are going through in that in-between stage when their body hasn't figured out how to go into menopause yet, but it's not quite fertile anymore either. And so I'm constantly researching and studying and learning and developing and going back to the basics. I've been through a seminar like this 4 to 5 times in the last 15 years, and I still walk away with 20 new nuggets of, like, wow, the complexities. And so for a person that just watches a YouTube video or Google search, Dr. Google doesn't have all the answers, and a lot of times Dr. Google and YouTube will scare the tar out of you.
I saw a meme that said, hey, the people who were constitutional experts last week are like infectious virus experts this week.
I saw that.
It's me. It's me.
That's right. And we kind of like speak out of both sides of our mouth, and we really need to submit to the training and teaching of others, because I'm all for the do-it-yourself market, except that people have not been taught how to evaluate their bodies. And one of the things that I would say about Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center is we teach people how to evaluate their bodies, to get in tune with what their body is going through, like how to assess bowel habits, bowel hygiene, how to assess urine flow, time of day, how to assess how you're feeling emotionally. Like I found patients that if they haven't had a bowel movement on time throughout the day, they will be more grumpy and irritable. And when they start picking up on this stuff and they start recognizing that this is a truth, they go, that's crazy. Like, nobody's ever taught me that. Yeah, I know. We're not being taught how to do self-assessment, and self-assessment is powerful. It's old folk remedies. I mean, in the olden days, to get a doctor to come to your house was complicated. To ride a horse out to the house, and you're sick in bed, and that's why a lot of people did die of scarlet fever, rheumatic fever, and all the different other types of bacterial, viral patterns, is because we didn't have the resources, and it took time for the doctor to even get there.
People live so far away too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but what I know is for every, and this is encouraging for this coronavirus, for every infectious problem out there, every venomous biting insect or poisonous plant or dart frog toxicity that we could get exposed to, for every thing that's attacking us, there's 2 to 3 antidotes. How cool is that? God put on this earth an opportunity for you to get well 2 to 3 times the chance of getting sick. And so we have options. It's whether or not you know about them. And just because you don't know about them doesn't mean they don't exist. And if you've been trying stuff and it ain't working, or if you're laid up in bed for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and you haven't found an answer to your situation, man, let's try something different. Because if you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, that is insanity. That's crazy talk. Like, who does that? But a lot of people just don't know. Some people don't want to, and I always come back. That helps me come to this statement, because it's hard for me to watch people suffer needlessly, and not ask for help or get in when they've been doing it their way for so long and it ain't working. And so I come to this. It's their life, it's their health, it's their choice. So you're in control more than you realize, and what you put in your mouth determines how your day is going to go. I assure you, if you're feeling allergies, if you get hives often every time you come out of a shower. I mean, it's the things that people bring in. You know what I mean? And if you have constant upper respiratory stuff going on, or you feel that constant drizzle drip down the back of your throat, there is something going on in your body that isn't draining properly. And so those symptoms are like that little pipe outside your kitchen window. When you see that drip, drip, drip start to happen, you know that you've got a pipe clogged somewhere. Mm-hmm. And that's your check engine light. When your check engine light comes on your house or on your car, you take it in and get it assessed.
You're supposed to.
Well,
sometimes people leave it on, and that's when you start to have issues and the car ends up breaking down and you're shocked.
And then you're shocked.
Yeah, what happened?
What happened?
The lights
I don't understand. And so the way I never, just because I have no symptoms, I never assume that I'm healthy or well. Mm-hmm. I'm constantly working at the game. And so I know it's allergy season, and guess what? The allergy season to me is like a trigger. Hey, it's time to do a non-infectious allergy work. What can I do to prepare my body for seasonal changes? Especially when blossoms are and the stuff starting to bloom and things are happening, right?
Yeah.
Liver and regulating the lymphatics and allowing your body from a lung perspective to dry up. If we can dry up these tissues, all of a sudden your body is able to throw the excess into the waste basket, so to speak, and then you're able to excrete it out, and it doesn't go out a secondary exit channel. So you have multiple secondary exit channels, and you have a primary exit channel. Your primary exit channel are your bowels. So a lot of times if you hear me talk, I always come back down to the bowels. Like 80% of everybody's suffering comes back to the bowels. 90+% of people's suffering comes from self-inflicted choices.
That's stuff that you eat?
Stuff that you eat, things you associate with, like work environment. It's things that we are doing to ourselves. Like in every profession has, it's opportunity cost. Like if you're sitting behind a desk, you're prone to a sedentary lifestyle. So you've got to find ways to make sure that you keep your posture right. You got to find ways to make sure that if the dude don't move, the dude don't groove. We got to keep you moving so that we can keep you grooving. And so you've got to go and do things to stay active, and then if you're working as a mechanic and you're exposed to fumes and benzene products all day, petroleum products all day long, that stuff is getting into your body and getting into every cell structure very quickly. Within 30 days, everything's been affected. And you've been doing that for 27 years. You better be ahead of the game when it comes to detox. And you better integrate it because you're not 18 anymore. You've now got 47 years of accumulation. Or 87 years of accumulation, and that accumulation is why people start developing things they didn't have 20 years ago. So just because you can get away with dairy as a teenager, you probably couldn't, but you just didn't know how to assess it. So people that go, well, I never had the problem before, that you know of, that's what I like to follow it up with, that you know of. Just because you don't know how to assess the fact that you were having rashes or you were having earaches as a kid or that you were having tonsillitis, you had your tonsils removed, just because you had belly pain and didn't realize that it was something that you were consuming on the regular and nobody could tell you, oh, I'm sorry that you went to like 7 different doctors and they didn't tell you. Well, they don't know. They're not taught food. They're taught medicine. And food and medicine are not the same. Food should be your first medicine all day, every day. All life starts and stops at the cellular level. And nutrition, food, foundation, it drives your body up towards onward, upward, goodward, and Godward, so I like to say, or it spirals you off into the shallows.
Into the unknown.
Yeah.
Have you seen Frozen 2?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, just checking.
You could sing it better probably than I could.
Well, maybe. But I doubt it. Not as good as the record in the movie. So nobody wants to spiral out of control.
No, but people are. You know what I mean? And so I'm on a mission. Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center is passionate about like helping your body detox more naturally. It's to lower that accumulated burden. If you're dealing with allergies, no doubt about it, allergies are an accumulation problem. And it's coming out secondary exit channels like your head, your eyes, ears, nose, throat.
Your pores.
All of it. Your pores is another secondary exit channel, your skin. And your lungs, this trash that's coming up out of our lungs. We're having a hard time breathing this stuff off. Our bodies are, pushing it out of the kidneys, and it's stressing out our blood pressure and causing our joints and body to swell. Our body stores toxins in the brain and in fat cells and in the joints. So, I mean, like, your body has backup plans. But let's not use them, but seldom. You know what I mean? Like only on the occasion when our body gets a little bit tilted out of balance. But then you come in and be evaluated. Let Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center guide you to a better health. If you've got symptom patterns that you were not genetically born with, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center will help you. We have a great website, justlivewell.com. We have, our office number is 281-554-8600. We've got our upcoming allergy class at the office dealing with, what products that you can take to fight off, ward off, deal with the environmental shifts that are going to transpire. And we want to give everybody, a new resource on how to live better. And it's amazing. A little bit of prevention is worth pounds and pounds of cure. They say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I'm a firm believer, if you take the bull by the horns, if you recognize that what you're doing isn't working and you need to course correct, if you're on 3 to 5 medications as the average 50-year-old is, you cannot predict the amount of accumulation and or biochemical processes taking place in your body. So we've got to slow down that path and start evaluating you, teaching you how to evaluate yourself, and so that you can start going, okay, this is common, this isn't normal. And I can start doing things differently so that I can feel better and I can live better one bite at a time, one day at a time.
I had a friend that checked into your office the other day. Her name's Sarah. And
Hi, Sarah.
Sarah, she may be watching, but she posted, hey, I checked in, Dr. Chapa. I was like, oh, that's cool. So I commented and said, because I was there the day before, and I had hooked up the TV in the front, so it was going to loop. Dr. Chapa Talk. It was the entire time.
People are freaking out. People are like, I didn't know you were a celebrity.
He is. Yeah. And so I asked Sarah, I was like, hey, just out of curiosity, I said, were they playing these Chapa Talk, these segments over and over and over? She said, yeah, they were. And I was like, how cool is that? You know, and she was saying it was good. I said, people could literally go sit in the office and learn. They'd have to wait.
Yeah.
And probably learn on any topic, any question that they had.
Or just
get hit up.
At 2 a.m. in the morning. You should be sleeping. But
yeah.
And if you can't sleep, come see me. But you've got YouTube.
Yeah.
All of our videos are on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. And you know, technology's allowed like this space where we can teach people how to live better, be better, and stay better one bite at a time. And I think that it's shows like this, Gardy, that allow us to get a message to people and let people know that there's answers, you know. And some people bring me some pretty tough stuff, and some people move faster than others, and some people's bodies really fight and resist the change of chemical modulation. But that just means that your body has been really beat up over the years, and we have to take the bull by the horns and wrestle that thing. And we can't quit. I mean, because what do you quit to? You quit into medications? I mean, I understand at times that's necessary, but that shouldn't be the end. Oh, it didn't work for me. No. Remember, you still are living on the planet. You still need to be nourished. You still need to be strengthened. The gut still needs to be reconditioned. The lymphatics need to be processed and cleansed. The liver needs to be upregulated so it can do a better metabolic function for you, so that your thyroid is more abundant, your endocrine system is more intact, your nervous system is more electrified, and so that your body is more alert and functional, so that you don't have the case of the suddenlies, and that you're not left in shock. What happened? How did this happen to me? No, we don't want you to live like that. We want you to go, you know, I've been proactive, and yes, stuff happens, but I always have an answer. Whenever the coronavirus strikes, I got an answer. Whenever a flu strikes, I got an answer. Whenever I have belly pain, I got an answer. Whenever I'm constipated, I got an answer. Whenever your energy's, tanked, you got an answer. And this is what I've been out to do, is to give people the understanding of why their body's breaking down and what they can do to turn it around. And Jennifer and Dr. Amber and I and my office staff and team are here to support you. We want to walk you through the process of healing. We want to walk you through the challenges and the throws that life throws at us in the form of curveballs and symptoms and diagnoses and uncomfortability in our bodies, and help you understand why your body is breaking down. And it's mind-boggling. Sometimes you think, I can do that myself. I can just assess myself. Well, that's great, except whenever you've been dealing with it, for months on end, years on end, let's not let it go that long, because the longer you wait, the more susceptible to it rooting deeper or converting into something more aggressive and getting worse. And so sooner the better, and start today. Today's the day to get stuff rolling for you. And so visit our website, justlivewell.com. Give us a phone call, 281-554-8600, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. We are here for you guys. We're going to always, be reaching out. We are doing some amazing things. I'm going to be at a Lions Club meeting this evening, doing a talk there this evening.
Lake City Lions?
I think so.
Okay.
And I haven't looked that far on the calendar to see where I'm going yet. But
yeah.
We're doing a talk every month. We've got outreach programs every month, and we're doing some really great things at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center to make sure that you get the most up-to-date health and wellness information to change the course and the trajectory of your life, your family's life, and your generational next of kin life. And I just pray that you all be well, that you guys know beyond a shadow of a doubt that God has provided you answers and tools. I pray that your ears are open, your eyes are open, your heart is receptive, your mind is alert, and that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Jesus is the great physician. He will always save. He will always heal. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And he believes in us. Will we receive it? So God bless you all.
And y'all are also collecting items for the community baby shower at your office.
Yes, we are. So, and we also are offering a discount if you bring a community baby shower gift to the office. We will give you a coupon for a percentage discount at the office. So,
that's cool.
I hope that people will take advantage of that.
Yeah, and if you haven't heard of our community baby shower, what we have going on is a open invitation to everybody in the area, anybody who is able to make it. I believe it's not this Saturday. I think it's next Saturday. Yeah, it should be next Saturday because this Saturday is Zach Williams here at Abundant Life. So go to ksbj.org to find information about that, buy tickets. But the community baby shower, last year we had, I think, around 400 mothers sign up. This year,
Wow.
I'm not sure what the number is.
Wow.
But expecting mothers came into the building and they left with diapers and strollers, baby beds, some just like information.
Yes.
There was a bunch of stuff given away. Red River Cantina, they gave us some gift cards yesterday just to give like as drawings, like, hey mom, go have lunch, go have dinner, like those things are awesome, just to be able to bless the community. And so I had Benito's and Lamarck was like, hey, can I give? I was like, of course. So I'm gonna go pick up some gift cards from there. And Dr. Chapa, he's collecting at his office and offering a discount as an incentive to you, so go take advantage of that.
Absolutely. And guys, I mean, it's a kind of a thing. Sharing is caring, right? It's one of those kind of goofy little memes or whatever, but there are people that are really in need, and we can all be a blessing to others and be the hands and feet of Jesus and share the love. And so we just pray that you guys would be a part of that. And man, if you haven't listened to some of Zach Williams' songs lately, man, tune him in. That boy jams.
Yeah, we're giving away some tickets. So if you haven't seen that video on KHEA, just like, share, comment on the video on social media, and you have the opportunity to go to Zach Williams. This thing is going to sell out, which is still mind-blowing. There's, I think, 3,800 tickets, and it's about there. VIP sold out like within days. They had like 100 and something VIP meet and greet.
That's this Saturday.
Gone. Yeah, they are gone. And people were like, do you have any more? I was like, no, nobody knew. I would have thought to secure to give some away, but they were instantly gone pretty much. So no, I don't have any. And I've been asked. I have none. I would like to meet him. Get him in here.
Well,
Yeah.
he totally should be. But he probably arrives on Saturday.
I'll be here. Well, actually, I'm having my baby on Friday, so I'll have to bring my brand new 1-day-old baby and be like, hey, so he can meet Zach one.
That's right. Absolutely. And take a picture. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. If you're watching on social media, make sure you smash the share button on this stream. All right. Hey, Facebook, we're still here. And so I'm going to kind of explain what happened. I'm here. This morning, whenever we were starting the stream, we had some goofy stuff happen. And so I was like, Chapa, this may be what we do. Like, go from my phone. We'll record the video live on our equipment and then post it to YouTube and all of our podcasting stuff. So that's what we had to do because Facebook was goofing on us. It would only let the stream be live for like 4 seconds, and then it would cut it off. So whenever you went and double checked, you're like, hey, it was live, but it just went for 4 seconds, and then it cut the stream. So I'm not sure what happened. Hey, Jeff from Main Squeeze said he'd give away some gift cards. That's awesome. Shout out to Main Squeeze. Yeah, we'll take some. If you have something and you want to donate, reach out to me, send me a message, or KHEA Radio a message, or Abundant Life a message, and we'll make that happen and arrange somebody to come pick them up. That's amazing. I love supporting local businesses because local businesses give back to events like this, like community events where we're just trying to bless some expecting moms in the community. My wife is pregnant, and she was supposed to give birth tomorrow. She's like, I was telling one of my friends, she's like 11 months pregnant. Like, now is the time. She is ready to go full term, but they're trying to schedule some stuff out, and it was supposed to be tomorrow, but they had to move it because she has the flu. And that's why I brought this in, and Chapa thought I was joking. I was like, kinda. I was like, Dr. Chapa, I don't want to spread anything. But he was like, get that away. Like, I was trying to shake his hand, and I was like, here, take some of this. And he was like,
no,
I don't want that. So, hey, I'll see you guys. Y'all be blessed. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon.